more on the digital side. So in our marketing and transferring our reach in marketing to direct bookings and understanding that. The other information we get is through Stats Canada and Ontario Tourism, using the modeling they have around tourism. But there is we're working together at this moment, as you know, on a new website for Kingston. So CAP and TK in partnership on that, and there's significant measurements being burned right into that website as well.
Thank you very much. Great. Thank you. Okay, we have the second delegation. Timo Whiteton, Walter Hamlin, and Daryl Delgan. Thank you very much for inviting us, Daryl. I'm just going to sign for a few minutes and tell you where Kingston came from. It came from me, and that was probably somewhere between about 15 years ago. I had the occasion where it started, and I had the occasion to hear Glenn Murray speak, who is the former mayor of Winnipeg, he's now in the provincial government. And I was interested because his speech gave out the fact that he was the mayor of Winnipeg, and Winnipeg was losing 17,000 people a year exiting. And he turned that around in his one term. And he turned it around because he built arts and culture, because his feeling the city that is not alive is not a happy city. So I in turn took from that, and then I had this idea myself, and then I invited a number of people. I had Glenn here to speak. We had over 400 people at the Delta, and out of that, Glenn and I suggested that we came together. We thought we should have an ongoing group. I in turn started that and invited the heads of all the institutions to come on board, and I didn't want any politicians on it for various reasons, because we heard about them honestly, and I wanted some new ideas and to see how we could turn cities around. We've come through several years, and we just had another one. Magic Kingston meets once a month. We have about 15 people, give or take. They're all invited. There's no membership. You come and go, but we're interested in ideas to bolster the city and not be a negative force. As I read the paper, I'm really, really disappointed in a city this size that we're even dealing with this issue in this forum. So going on, as I said, we meet once a month, and from start to finish, I have funded almost 95% of it on my own. Ask for no money, and I don't have anybody to do. I do have a passion for the city, and there's a lot of things we can do. I'll give you just one instance. When I started, I talked to the Army base, and they were sitting over on the side, and when I talked to the base commander, he said, we give $400 million a year, or there's about $400 million in payroll. We never hear from anybody. We never hear from anybody, and that really shocked me, because you have somebody giving you $400 million in payroll to the city. Think what we would do if we lost it. I got him involved, and just in a few weeks, he had little tanks on Brock Street, and they are very much part of it, and they feel very much part of Kingston. So that's all that I was trying to do.
All right. Does not have a dedicated organization champion that is in a very weak position when it comes to attracting new investment or retaining existing companies that are growing. The Economic Development Organization, in our view, must be aligned with the strategic aims of the Mayor and Council with appropriate oversight. But at the same time, it must have enough discretion to move quickly and confidentially when required. And finally, as tourism is such a large part of the existing and future economic activity of Kingston, we believe that serious consideration needs to be given to tourism as a standalone entity that will work closely with the broader economic development organization that emerges from the work of this committee. Darren?
Yeah,
specifics.
Thanks very much. My name is Darren Dalgleish. I'm the CEO of the St. Lawrence Parks Commission and a member of Imagine Kingston. I wanted to share a few insights that were gained from a summit that was held last year, about a year ago. We called it Imagine Kingston 2025, and the idea was to get together 50 institutional leaders, business leaders, and we have people like the CEO of the hospital, principal of Queens, the owner of Icon, the president of 14 Theories, all sorts of, good diagonal slice of leaders and action-oriented individuals in the city. And we gathered these folks together to talk about the main ideas that might advance Kingston into the next 10 years to be successful. And now you have a copy of this document. There's an executive summary as well as the full summit results and materials, and I encourage you to read that because it speaks to not Imagine Kingston's perspective, but the biggest employers in your community. Three in fact, bubbled to the surface right away, playing a key role in the development of an ecosystem for entrepreneurs, actively and aggressively recruiting organizations to locate or relocate into the Kingston area, and identify and champion the development of the required infrastructure that supports the success of these types of organizations. To give a couple examples, these are not news to anybody in this room, but investing in the expansion of the airport, for instance, acquiring and developing the Kingston Penitentiary property, and I know there are things underway in both those categories, and developing this ecosystem for things like professional and advisory investment, mentorships, and good physical locations. So there were about 7 or 8 major items that bubbled up from this group of leaders, and those are the 3 ones that kind of took priority when they were tabulated at the end of it. So it was a great day. It is a representative perspective on people who believe the city can be much greater 10 years from now than it is today. So thanks for your time, and I think we're happy to take some questions.
Any questions?
This content that was provided, where would the average citizen be able to find that? I found it to be incredibly useful. I held the summit recently myself, and it was almost like reading my own notes. So a lot of the things that came out of it were certainly seem like common sense once you read it, but I think that before you read it, it may not seem like common sense until you go through the whole thing. So I think that having more people read that content might be a step in the right direction.
Great. It's on the Imagine Kingston website. The full document is there. I think that's what's shared in the document presentation.
Any other questions?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Friends of Kingston has a community mandate to receive financial information and a summary of results. That's what's been requested for a 5-year period in order to understand the use of $15 million of taxpayers' money. Can we just adjust that? Sorry. I can see it, that's fine, not my fault. Financial statements for the past 5 years have recently been posted on the website. So in the last week, financial statements have been put up, and we started to review those. There'll be a 5-year comparative analysis being completed, in order to fully appreciate the $15 million taxpayer investment. Questions will be provided after that review, requiring further detailed explanations. This is the funds that have been requested since 2009 by KEDCO from the city for the functions of tourism and business development. $17 million. Something closer to $15 million was actually given, so the total budget request has not been funded. The 2015 amount, the 316, I think something like 2.7 was
given. So this is just to demonstrate the amount of money being requested each year. This is the 2.65 million that was given by the city last year of the total $3.1 million TEDCO budget. This is a breakdown of some of the expenses. And so what we have in total here, the largest share, of course, is the salaries and benefits at $1,647,000. Was an increase of 10% over the previous year. I'm not sure if that was a job that was added. We don't have that detail yet. But of the 2.65 million, almost 2.2 million has been spent on staff and office-related expenses, leaving $450,000 to do other work, other promotions, and to do the tourism and business development functions. 83% of the taxpayer funds is used, therefore, for office staff and salary costs. Not included in those is the following items: advertising, almost $300,000. Amortization, so that's an annual amortization of costs. That's the principal and interest on things like a voicemail system, $35,000. Several other expenses that need to be understood in more detail so that we can do a proper analysis of where those dollars are being spent. $207,000 in events and meetings. $100,000 to professional contractors. We don't know yet the detail about that. $200,000 in sponsorships and donations. We're not sure what that is. Hopefully donations of taxpayers' money aren't taking place, but we'll understand that better. And this is the cost of the items to be sold at the tourist visitor center. And there would be an offsetting revenue. So that's the other part of the 2.197 in staff and office costs, plus this $900,962 is the total 3.165 or some total thing. These are the job positions. This is from the TEDCO website. There's 16 positions listed here. If we take the top end of the salary range for all these 16 positions, it's $1,136,000, and the total was $1,647,000. So there's another another $500,000 in salaries. There was 20 positions shown on the 2014 annual report. So those 4 positions must make up the difference in the amounts. On the right-hand side shows what the functions are related to. OMERS, there's $122,000 being paid by TEDCO to the city related to OMERS. And OMERS website shows that TEDCO has fewer than 25 employees as members. OMERS was contacted and was asked, can a not-for-profit organization be a member of OMERS? Their reply was the only way was if there were an agreement with the municipality to be so. So a not-for-profit organization, and I guess the issue here is the confusion about whether TEDCO is a standalone organization, a private corporation, which was stated, or whether it's a city organization or some hybrid thereof. I think one other thing that's been requested is a resolution setting all that out, and that hasn't been received yet in response to the legal challenge that's been made. Sort of water. Sorry.
Here.
Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. I don't want to drag this on. And so the other funds that are listed on the 2014 statement, these items are stated as money TEDCO gives back to the city. The total is 500 and some odd thousand at the top, 509. The items that were shown on the financial statement that we've been able to identify so far is only 230, so I'm not sure where the 278 rests. In TEDCO's 2014 business plan, the dashboard here, so this is the report on the website, the dashboard refers to 868 jobs being created, $100 million of new investment. The value of the jobs created was 34.72 million. 142 opportunities. An opportunity is defined as a qualified lead which has a real potential to create new jobs or direct monetary investment for the city. Opportunities may be in the sales pipeline for an undetermined amount of time due to the nature and complexities of the specific deal. Opportunities result in either a closed won, Kingston realized the jobs, closed lost, the opportunity was lost to another. All these envelopes, and we can hand them out to the public. These are being turned back in now daily. Every time we meet, there was another 100 given, sums of money in the envelopes. So we're funding a legal challenge to get this information, and rather than working to try to build up our community, we're being asked to continue this effort with a growing number of people. Instead of us working together to try to attract some high-paying private sector jobs and increase the assessment base, we're actually having to spend all this time telling you that this organization is not doing anything to benefit this community in summary, and we stand before you and say we're continuing to get information that's telling you that the information that you're providing to us is not true. So I don't know how you'd like us to say it, but we're not going to stop trying to determine what is the actual information, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And at one of the earlier meetings, the term truth and reconciliation was mentioned, so we'll just restate it as well. Until we can all agree that the facts are the facts, we don't believe that there is truth being spoken, and so there will be no reconciliation, and there'll be no cessation of the efforts of the community to get to the bottom of it. So, thank you for the opportunity. Our presentation's with you. We have hard copies if anyone needs it, and thank you for your time. Hard copy? Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions, yes. Or refer them to others that can answer.
Can I get a hard copy of it?
There's one there, and they're on your hard drive now. We've only got 2 copies, but they're color copies. I don't want to waste our money if you don't want. Yes.
With regards to the job statistics, that's something I've heard quite a bit. Do you have a recommendation for a best practices policy to, so let's say, for example, obviously you have a great deal of business experience. How do we come up with a statistic that even somebody who knows nothing about business can understand in a credible way? Because right now it seems like you're not buying into the statistics that we're providing. Is there something that you would recommend to us that we do as best practices?
That we all sit down and come to an agreement on what we're really achieving. When we do the 5-year analysis, the comparatives, we're going to ask why we're spending the money we're spending in each area. I'm sure there's going to be answers to this. We haven't been able to get any. That this committee isn't reviewing the business plan from 2010 to 2014 and then the first 2 years of the new business plan. That's not what we're talking about here. The detail is copious. This goes on, and it's wonderful material. What are we doing about it? How are we reviewing without... To talk about a real jobs tally, a real scoreboard, a real true scoreboard of what we're achieving, that means I've got to turn my mind to the possibility that we would all work together to do that. It's not clear at all that anyone wants to do that. So I can't even begin to try to answer that question. Maybe someone else can.
Something, if you were to look into the future, and based on the efforts that your group is putting forth now, what would change? What would be different in this community 2 or 3 years into the future?
Well, first of all, we would decide as a community if we really do want to grow. Okay? That would be the first thing we would decide if we're really serious about doing this. We wouldn't continue to do what we've been doing and getting the same result. That's called insanity. So spending $3 million a year, $15 million, and not being able to prove that we've got... It's wonderful. We appreciate greatly that company came here, but that's 10 jobs. Okay, so we would like to just make sure that we're all talking the same language. Also in this report, it's saying that KEDCO announces a $40 million Bell Canada in infrastructure investment. Bell Canada, is that part of the $100 million that we say that we generated, that the organization generated? Would anyone wouldn't be suggesting that bells in infrastructure investment in underground fiber is something that resulted from an effort that KEDCO made. So I would just, I think we have to pull back the layers of this onion, and maybe our eyes will tear up. But we're going to have to get to the bottom of what is really happening. And this isn't what's really happening. We cannot prove that this is happening. So I don't know where to turn to. I mean, we'd like to put all our efforts together.
And how will it impact the future? I mean, I understand you want to, expose things or get answers or have a...
When we can get to a point of truth as to what we're doing now, if we're not getting any results, why are we spending one more dollar? Let's stop spending any money until we have a new plan that we all agree on that we can move forward with. Stop. If we're funding year after year, I asked for the fiduciary responsibility of the people that are reviewing this financial information, that are overseeing the expenditure of these dollars. I'd like to know what detail they've got and on what basis we're continuing to fund this organization. There's no basis to fund this organization based on what I see, what our group is. And when we do a 5-year comparative now with the information that's been put on the website in the last week, these 2 years audited statements and then previous statements, I'm not sure if they're audited yet or not. We haven't had a chance to investigate. It's an awful lot of energy to go to try to tell a different story. I hope there's a better future, Michael. I wish I had a better answer. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hope that we can turn to the page to that.
Kim, thank you. Can you comment about some of the things you heard even today in terms of delegations on tourism, and how that aspect of spending...
We talk about pure economic development. That's all we wanted to talk about. We didn't want to talk about the tourism industry. I understand it has a huge relationship to our economic development. It's people generated, does all kinds of things. This report on page 18 says it was $400 million. Now today we're hearing that right there, $410 million. 3.3 person visits. That's 12,300 people a day. If we go to 145 days from May 24th to October to Thanksgiving, that's 25,000 people a day. This is from all of Frontenac County. I don't know about you, but if we had most of them coming to Kingston, wouldn't we assume? We wouldn't be able to walk on the sidewalks almost. Like, let's all get together and let's draw out the benefit. Blue water, we have a wonderful concept about the Blue Ribbon Norfolk. This is the land of lakes. This is God's country. We could do so much more. Let's all work together to promote what we have as our natural resources. We all want this so badly to work. We want this community to thrive. But we've got to get together and say, what are we really doing? Where are we really investing money that's actually having a benefit? Tourism is not what we're talking about. I have nothing negative to say about tourism at all. It's, of course, a fantastic and critical part of our economy. I'm talking about what we're doing in pure economic development. If we're not going to our companies, if people are leaving and we're saying that we're going to replace 350 NOR jobs, those are $35 an hour millwright jobs. The comment was, well, we'll replace those. Our economy will take those jobs up. That didn't happen. We've got a negative 400 jobs. We say we've created almost 4,000. Where's the truth? The StatsCan data may not be the best data for us to use in doing these job numbers. I don't know. We're talking about high-paying private sector jobs. We're not talking about, if jobs that we're adding have an onerous component, then they're going to cost us forever. So let's make darn sure that we're getting the benefit of those. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. I'm rambling.
Yeah, I would like to clarify if I could.
Please.
Trying to understand, you threw numbers up there, the numbers from the budget, 2.6 million, 2.13 million approximately dollars. And we know that there's a split of about 50-50. 50% of those overall dollars going to tourism and the other 50% going to the other elements of economic development. Just wondering from your analysis and your perspective, if you have any comments with respect to the investment in tourism dollars as opposed to, as you call it, the pure economic development dollars.
I haven't seized my mind with that information. I'd like to, with all due respect, give you a proper answer to that. I'm really emotional on looking at the pure economic development side of this. So others in our group may well have a much better response to that than I do. And if anyone would like to speak, the community group is growing, and people have all their own diverse views. I'm only one voice. I'm not a spokesman.
Mr. Dixon. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Donovan, for your presentation. This is the best delegation yet, I think, in terms of getting at the heart of the matter. What I'm wondering is, in light of what you've presented so far, with still a lot of questions to be answered, and thank you for the great work on this. Maybe the mandate that the council has created for this committee, along with the timeline for the report creation, need to be modified. It seems to me that's a conclusion. Sort of the big picture that I've taken from what you've said. There's a lot we don't know. And if we'd known this information 6 months ago, we may have been able to do a better job on the mandate for the committee and getting at the real problems. Because it seems that just now we're getting at the heart of the matter after 4 months or so of discussion. And that's a problem to me, because we're spending money on a consultant. We've done business facilitation last week, which is very good. All this work's going on. But we don't really understand what we're trying to do, it seems. And that's been the complaint from a lot of people from the audience as well, that I've seen. So that would be my request, that the committee would go back to council and have its mandate and timeline adjusted. Thank you.
We asked for terms of reference at the outset. There was no terms of reference given to us. The only thing that represented a terms of reference was the document that was presented a few weeks later. The first point on it, reviewing financial information, was the committee was advised it needed to get legal representation, legal advice before it considered looking at financial information. The committee didn't have a terms of reference. The committee structure was flawed. We said all of these things right from the start. It started when the council delegation was shut off, and that was last September. And then the committee was formed, and we said all the way along, people were buying ads, people were standing up, different organizations have spoken out. If we could just all say, let's go back to the start and figure out how to do it properly, a lot of this could all be saved. But if that doesn't happen, the effort will continue. When the 5-year comparative is done, we will have endless questions, I assure you.
Kim, my friend, if I could just be allowed a few minutes to reflect to the room. First of all, let me clarify something. I've said to you on many occasions, I'm here because I love Kingston. I'm here to save Kingston as an international businessman, as an individual. I'm also enjoy the virtues of tourism and have for my whole life in Kingston, and I think they do a splendid job. My only question is, what do you compare to? If you can deliver that data, I think you would be much more legitimate in terms of your claims. However, this has never been about tourism. I personally endorse tourism because I think they do a great job. I don't know if they're cost competitive with other communities or any of that. We don't have the data, do we, Ken? However, I want to start out, if I can have just a few minutes. I got a renewed interest when Councillor Camden stood up with one piece of paper when KEDCO presented their budget and said, what the hell is this? So I shared my concerns with you at that point. You had the courage to ask the question. So now let's go through in a short, close notes, what happened, okay? The mayor said, oh, we're doing a great job. Why are you questioning us? And then further pressure, we published a scorecard. The community published a scorecard. More resistance then. We'll form a committee. Oh, that's interesting. So the community asked, what's the criteria for the committee? No criteria. Then we find out it's going to be a review committee, and the mayor seen any signs of a review committee. I've experienced a marketing committee. And a marketing committee to sell the virtues of tourism, which shouldn't be in question. The funding is a different model. It shouldn't be in question. And you're confusing the community with the real issue. Where's the new investment? Where's the smart money? Where's the good paying jobs in the private sector? So I'm embarrassed to stand here and say that I believe there's collateral damage being done to the community I love. Because it's about all these marketing initiatives about Kedco, CAP, tourism, and everything else, when we should be talking about the greatness of Kingston. But there is no greatness of Kingston in the private sector. It's a failing private sector. So I don't know whether City Hall, Adam, is there for us to consult to. Because I swear to God, when we ask them a question, they hire a consultant to answer the question. The review committee. You form the review committee, first thing you do is you hire a consultant for Kedco. So I don't know whether we should hire another consultant to determine what a review committee looks like. But this is a marketing committee.
Sir, do you have a question for the delegation?
Let me finish, please. I sincerely hope that what Ken put up on this board, and that we take this serious about saving our community. We don't have to save tourism. We need to save Kingston. The only way to save Kingston is renewal of good paying careers and new investment to create a smart economy. There's been no evidence of this here, and it's shame on all of us for avoiding the real issue, true economic development. Now, don't cut me off again, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of those ads that you referred to, the scorecards and some of the earlier letters, I mean, this is not something new. We're not raising something new today. We're just trying to get agreement that we have something that's not working that we want to work together to fix, not to whitewash. And that's exactly what we think. No one wants to see the report you ultimately issue. So, if you want to work together, let us know.
That's right.
Okay. Moving on to number 5, approval of the minutes. Anybody have any issues with that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, perhaps you didn't see my hand.
Oh.
Yeah, I did have a question. Oh. Possible.
Okay.
And that is that, why is it so difficult to see the convergence of private sector jobs and tourism-related jobs? And why do we not refer to tourism as intimate with and associated to economic development, at least as you framed it here? Because certainly, I've got 500 employees who disagree with you completely.
About economic development?
Yeah.
I don't know, the CAP gentleman today, said that he's not sure that the structure's working. I'm going to paraphrase.
He said the other thing, sorry, I think he said the other thing.
The structure between Tourism Kingston and CAP, and is it functioning? Is it maximized? He doesn't even know how you're allocating your expenditures, how you're allocating your salary time. The $2.2 million that we showed, I know some of that's directed to tourism, some to business development. You know, if you were serious about it, you would either answer the questions as we asked them, or you would take notes of them, and we would all sit down and get to the bottom of the questions we're asking. If we're spending that much money and we can't get verifiable positive results, the number of jobs created, we had to ask how many people were employed in a company that we don't want to be asking those questions. We want to be able to rely on the information that's being given to us. We want to be be able to rely on the $100 million of investment. Where's that $100 million? We're going to ask detailed questions about everything. We're going to get to the bottom of it. When we get to the bottom of it, then maybe we can rebuild something together. If we're going to look at data that we can't confirm, that other sources say is not true, until we say that we're all agreeing on the facts, there's not two versions of the facts, I guess is what I'm saying. So when we have one version of the facts, then we can work together and try to all come together and build something
Sure,
together.
I get that. I want to differentiate, because you continue to refer to it as economic development. And I just want to understand the framework of economic development. Is it to exclude anything tourism-related?
I think what they're saying is that the tourism part of economic development works. It's all the other aspects of economic development that we're not necessarily seeing. So there's no question, I think tourism is probably one of the strongest things that Kingston has to offer. But there are other sides to it. There are other industries, other commercial aspects that we think can help build that, which will add to tourism as well. Because I don't think anybody I don't think anybody out of these delegations have said that we don't think tourism does a good job. We think they do.
Mr. Chair, it's just seeking clarification. You refer to economic development that's exclusive of tourism or not.
So that's what I think that's what I mean.
Mr. Chair,
So, for the interest of time, sir, for the interest of time, we are getting behind, we need to get to the business of
that is rude.
And it is
I'm going
important
to
that we
make
follow
my
the
point.
procedure here. Sir,
I'm gonna make my
please
point.
follow the procedure here. We are going to continue on with this agenda now.
I am going to address,
May I have,
excuse me,
may I have?
Everyone else had a shared agenda.
you had 12 minutes for a delegation. I need
Sir, you've
5
already spoken to that.
seconds.
You've already spoken to that.
I need 5 seconds.
You have already spoken today, sir.
I need 5
You
seconds.
have spoken already. May I have a motion
That's-
to move forward on this, please?
That's,
I have a motion to listen to the gentleman.
May I have a motion to please?
now, I would like to say this quickly. The cities we do business across 3 countries, tourism is a nice thing to have, and it's sure great to have it in Kingston. But that is not where people make a living from in real jobs long term.
Really?
You cannot have a strong economy if you don't have $25, $30 an hour jobs, and that's what we're concerned about here. We're not concerned about tourism. I think I've told you so many times, I think Kingston is doing a great job on tourism. So don't take it out of context.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So,
Thank you. And seconded by Councilor.
Jeff, could you just speak up just a little, please, and thank you?
Thank you. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Oh, sorry, let's vote on the minutes. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. This resolution, anything on that?
We can't hear a word that said maybe we're not supposed to. Is that the idea? Sorry, I'm sorry, I can't hear it. I'm right close.
There is nothing arising from the minutes.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Honest to God, I didn't. I'm not being rude. I'm just asking if you could just speak up a little, that's all.
There's nothing arising from the minutes, is what she said.
Okay, thank you very much.
Moving on to number 6, number 7.